Imagine a hidden story of America, buried beneath the headlines and monuments, where a single invention, a daring escape, or a forgotten hero changed the course of history forever, but almost nobody knows about it. In the late 18th century, the young United States was still finding its identity, a fragile experiment in democracy teetering on the edge of chaos. While the world marveled at the audacity of a nation breaking free from the mightiest empire, a small group of individuals worked in the shadows, inventing, scheming, and documenting ideas that would shape the future. One such figure was Benjamin Banneker, a free African-American astronomer and mathematician. At a time when education for Black Americans was almost non-existent, Banneker built an entire clock from scratch, using nothing but wood, gears, and his extraordinary intellect. His invention wasn't merely a clock, it symbolized a future where ingenuity could transcend the bounds of slavery and social oppression. In 1791, Banneker sent a copy of his almanac to Thomas Jefferson, carefully annotating predictions of eclipses, planetary positions, and weather patterns. Jefferson, then Secretary of State, initially dismissed Banneker's work as curious but trivial. Yet, upon closer examination, he realized that Banneker's calculations were not only accurate, but deeply insightful. This revelation sparked a series of debates about race, intelligence, and the capacity for self-education that would echo throughout the early years of the American Republic. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, whispers of rebellion were still alive. The streets carried the echoes of the Constitutional Convention, where compromises between states had barely held together the fragile Union. Amid this tension, ordinary citizens, tailors, shopkeepers, and farmers began contributing to a growing cultural identity. Their letters, diaries, and personal accounts, long forgotten in dusty archives, reveal the human drama behind America's foundation, betrayals, secret alliances, and moments of courage that could have changed the nation's fate in an instant. Even across the seas, the young country faced threats. British soldiers still patrolled the Atlantic, wary of losing influence. French revolutionaries looked to America as an example, while traders and explorers vied to map uncharted territories. And deep in the frontier forests, Native American communities navigated an impossible path between preservation and adaptation. Their stories often erased from history books, yet their influence on the nation's growth was profound. As this narrative unfolds, readers will uncover astonishing facts. The hidden role of espionage in securing independence, the secret networks of women who financed revolutionary efforts, and inventions that predated recognized technological breakthroughs by decades. The story of America is not just battles and politics. It is the quiet, courageous acts of people who refused to be forgotten, whose ingenuity and bravery created ripples felt centuries later. As 1792 dawned, the fledgling United States was still grappling with the aftermath of revolution. The streets of Philadelphia buzzed with talk of politics and prosperity, but beneath the surface, a quieter, more dangerous struggle was unfolding. Loyalists, those still faithful to the British Crown, operated in secrecy, often meeting in back rooms of taverns and the attics of unsuspecting homes. Their letters, smuggled across state lines, revealed a web of intrigue aimed at undermining the new government. Meanwhile, ordinary Americans, often overlooked in textbooks, took extraordinary risks. Farmers smuggled weapons, women relayed coded messages sewn into quilts, and children acted as lookouts along riverbanks. One remarkable story comes from a small Pennsylvania village where a young woman named Mary Ludwig Hayes, later famously known as Molly Pitcher, carried water to soldiers under intense gunfire. But beyond the familiar legend, few know that Mary secretly took over her husband's cannon after he was incapacitated, aiming and firing with deadly precision. Local accounts describe how her courage inspired soldiers to regroup at a critical moment, possibly preventing the British from capturing the hill entirely. Historians argue this action, seemingly minor, may have shifted momentum during key skirmishes in the Revolutionary War, proving that heroism often hides in the details ordinary history leaves out. Meanwhile, innovation surged even in the shadows of war. A man named Oliver Evans, a mechanical genius from Delaware, quietly revolutionized milling technology. His automated flour mill, built in 1785, used water power and mechanical belts in ways that no one else in the world had conceived. While America's leaders debated treaties and taxation, Evans's invention quietly laid the groundwork for industrialization, transforming agriculture and trade. This mechanization would eventually ripple across the young nation, giving it an edge in economic independence, even as European powers underestimated its impact. Across the ocean, foreign intrigue shaped America's destiny. French agents and diplomats watched the new republic with a mixture of hope and skepticism. Benjamin Franklin, then in Paris, navigated a labyrinth of alliances, negotiating loans, weapons, and recognition, while managing to avoid entanglement in European conflicts. The letters he sent back home, filled with both wit and warning, revealed a delicate balance between diplomacy and survival. The United States, barely a decade old, existed in a precarious equilibrium. One wrong move could invite invasion, economic collapse, or the disillusionment of its people. And yet, even in this chaos, ordinary individuals carved extraordinary legacies. Free African Americans like Banneker continued to prove their brilliance despite systemic oppression. Native American leaders like Littleton and Joseph Brant negotiated tirelessly to protect their lands, cultures, and futures, often facing betrayal from all sides. Women, largely invisible in political arenas, orchestrated networks that sustained families, spread information, and influenced public opinion. Every action, every invention, every risk taken by these people created a chain reaction, invisible to the masses, yet shaping the very identity of a nation. These untold stories, when pieced together, reveal a startling truth. The America celebrated in textbooks is only part of the story. The real narrative, filled with astonishing resilience, ingenuity, and courage, unfolds in the shadows, in quiet victories, and in moments history almost forgot.